I'll start with what I just asked Chris about the turnover margin. I guess from your perspective, how do you force more turnovers? Has that been an emphasis throughout training camp?
It's been an emphasis for sure. The only way I know how to do it is practice it, drill it, reinforce it on the field, reinforce it in the meeting room, and try to get your players to play aggressively and try to put them in positions where they're not having to think too much. I think when all those things come together, then you have a good chance to get your fair share. So we've been emphasizing all those things. Now we've got to see, coming up Friday night if we can take it onto the game field.
Jay, defensive line-wise, what development have you seen from John Badeke and Kevin Wilkins?
Well, Kevin obviously played quite a bit last year, so we knew a lot about Kevin. John was a little bit more of an unknown commodity because he didn't have as much playing time. So Kevin's made steady progress. He's in a good place. John has been a very pleasant surprise, probably because he just didn't realize, a year ago compared to now, the progress that he would make. But he's probably playing as well as anybody up front. Really good with his hands, very disruptive, complete versus the run and the pass. I couldn't be happier with where he is right now. He's going to, I think, play a big role in what we're doing up front.
Jay, how do you feel? I mean, he's had a whole spring now and training camp to make the transition. How do you feel about where Ross Douglas is in terms of moving from DB now to the Sam and being kind of entrenched there?
Mm-hmm. I think he's real comfortable there. He had a lot of work at the nickel position, which in last fall, which has some carryover into what we do with our Sams, particularly in one-back defenses. 21 and 12 personnel, when you get multiple tight ends, fullbacks, things of that nature, that's a little bit different animal. But he had a lot of work with one back and one tight end, one back, no tight end sets as a nickel. So it transitioned pretty smoothly, and it was right away in spring ball that we made that switch with him permanently. And I think he's really progressed well, and he'll be ready to play Friday night.
Jay, how important is it for the fans to create that home field advantage for you guys, and how much impact can they have in terms of perhaps disrupting Washington with noise and things like that?
Well, I think they can have an impact for sure. You wouldn't have a home field advantage to talk about if you didn't feel like that was a possibility. So, we want them to be as loud and disruptive as possible. And, we've got to have something to do with that, too. We've got to give them something to cheer about and be excited about. We realize we have a huge role in that. So hopefully between the people sitting in the stadium and the 11 guys that are playing, we can get that done together.
When you look at Jake Browning, what do you see? I mean, is he one of the better quarterbacks that you see on film?
Yeah, he's a sensational player. I don't know. I haven't looked at the other quarterbacks, across the country in other leagues that we don't cross over with. But, of the ones that I have seen and studied, he's really, really exceptional player. Unbelievably accurate. Probably not given enough credit for his ability to elude the rush and run away from people. Deceptively fast. And very uncanny with regards to sensing where the pressure is coming from and being able to step up, in, out, and away from it. And, sometimes moving the chains with his feet, but oftentimes just buying himself enough time to find a guy open and hitting him. Really, really good player. Ton of respect for that guy.
Jay, Saquon Hampton's a guy that had a strong camp last year before the injury against Washington. How did he look to you this year?
Great. I think he's had a really good spring, a really good summer, and an excellent training camp. I think he's exactly what we thought he would be, and I really expect that Saquon will have an exceptional year. I think he's a very good player.
The running back, Myles Gaskin, 1,300 yards 2 years in a row. Is he, another guy that, creates a lot of troubles?
Well, he's an excellent player. They've got a couple really good backs. What makes their offense tough to defend is they've got weapons all over the field, whether it's QBs, wideouts, tight ends, running backs, their O-line. There's not a weakness in their offense. So, but with regards to him specifically, yeah, he's a really good player. You see it all over the film. There's times where people have chances to make minus yardage plays. They get penetration in the backfield, and he'll make a guy or two miss, and he'll turn a negative yardage play into a 5 or 6 yard gain. Just really athletic and quick and powerful. He's got all the attributes you're looking for there.
Obviously, Washington's fastest guy, John Ross, is now in the NFL, but they still have a lot of guys with speed back. Does it help at all that at least your guys, you know, it didn't always work out, but they at least saw it last year, that they kind of know what they're up against, having played a lot of those players last year?
Certainly think, you know, just having lined up and played against all the rest of them, so to speak, last year, there's a familiarity there. I think you could look at the film and figure out, you know, your matchups and what their skill sets are like, what our skill sets are like, those types of things. And you know, obviously we went on to play, you know, 11 other football games besides that one, and lined up against some other pretty good receivers too. So throughout the course of the year, found out what we could and couldn't do. But I think they'll know what to expect come Friday night, and that'll help them, just having that point of reference.
Getting after the quarterback, sacks, has that been an emphasis as well? And then I guess looking at Washington, their veteran offensive line, is that, you know, easier said than done?
Well, certainly they are very capable of protecting him well. Their offensive line is, you know, with all the other guys that get all the accolades and statistics and all the things that go along with, you know, the media attention that, you know, when you evaluate offenses, certainly the O-line is, I don't want to say they're underrated or underappreciated, but you just don't hear as much about them because there aren't statistics to back it up. But you know, they're very athletic, big guys, and you see very few assignment mistakes when you watch their film. So they're a very, very good group, and I think 4 of the 5 are back, and so they'll be collectively probably as good an O-line as we'll see all year long, I would imagine. So yeah, we have to get the quarterback uncomfortable. We have to try to get him off his point. That won't be easy to do, but we have to, you know, have some ways to get the rhythm and the timing of the offense disrupted.
Coach, Coach, earlier in camp we talked about wanting to improving the run defense.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Gaskin. From what you've seen during camp, how confident are you to be able to stop him, and specifically, and you know, throughout the whole season, stopping the run?
Well, I think we've made progress. You know, that to sit here and say what I think will evolve over the course of the season, it's probably premature. It's kind of hard when you're practicing against yourself. All we have to evaluate is Rutgers versus Rutgers at this point. I will say that we've made strides of improvement with physicality and you know, fundamentals, techniques, you know, all the things that you try to work on, shedding blocks, being disruptive at the point of attack. You know, those things have all been practiced and improved upon. You know, to the degree to which you know, that extent of that improvement, I guess we'll just have to wait and see come Friday night and ongoing throughout the course of the year. But you know, certainly we're better in that area than we were a year ago.